So, okay, that's it. Let's get going. First, what we're going to do today, today is a hands-on session where we're going to look at some, the usability. The main topic is usability, and we're going to look at some key functions. But first, we're just going to go through an introduction, quick updates on our development work and at IDC and the workshop at IDCC 2024, the workshop on interoperability to be more precise. You'll get the option to ask questions. We'll have a 10-minute coffee break, and then we go into the working sessions, the working hands-on sessions, where we'll split into 3 groups and look at 3 different key functions of the tool. We'll do a quick summary. I think you're all familiar with the our normal routine. Okay, so updates on development work. I think you all know what we've been working on, and the key, our focus is interoperability. So the first feature I'm going to present is the Machine Actionable Grant ID. I'm pleased to say that we have it ready for DMP Toolie. It's on the test server, and it seems to work as desired. The reason why we have developed it for DMP Toolie is not preferential treatment, is because they had the national founder had the API ready, so we went ahead with their function. So you can see, we'll circulate the links. You can see their interface of the Finnish national funder, and essentially you probably remember a lot of we gave at least a couple of demos, and it's a matter of entering the grant number, and the project details are filled in. There is a very short video here, and you saw it. I don't think it shows very well on screen, but it was also demonstrated at IDCC. We can send a more detailed one to you. This is very brief for the purposes of this conversation, but we can send a more detailed one to you on YouTube when we have it ready. So the goal at the moment is to deploy it for DMP Toolie live week beginning the 8th of April. And after that, the next steps will be to integrate it, to do the same integration with the Dutch Research Council API and the Swedish Research Council API. They also have APIs that would enable us to retrieve project details by entering the grant number. This will happen on DMPonline, and at that stage you can all, if you like, play with it and see how it works for them. I'm sorry, we will pursue an API for the UKRI funders, you know, in the UK. It's coming, I'm told, but I'm sure, you know, slowly we will find suitable APIs for all grants. I'm positive, I'm optimistic, particularly following the IDCC workshop on interoperability, where everybody was saying, yes, yes, all stakeholders need to be involved. I'll talk about that in a moment. Can you hear me well, by the way? Okay, thank you so much. Okay, next slide. It's a bit slow, sorry about this. The next interoperable feature is research outputs with using GUIs for research outputs. So the integration we chose to make is the OpenAI Graph Search API. We can send you the link for that as well. By the way, as always, we will circulate the slides as well at the end of the meeting. At the moment, this is on prototype stage on the development server, and we hope to roll it out. We aim to roll it out, assuming we have no major emergencies, by the end of this of our current development sprint, which is meant to finish in early June. The exact date is 4th of June. So fingers crossed that we have no major emergencies, and we are able to develop it, to deploy it at that stage. It's again a very brief video. I realize now that I'm getting users in the way. Okay, so a very quick video. Okay, essentially what it does, you can add, you have research outputs, and you can add a research output, and you will see that you can enter a DOI by using the OpenAI Graph Search API, and that will add the API to the DOI number to your research output, whatever that may be. I have to ask Glenis, maybe you can intervene. I don't know whether this also works for software.
Yes, Diana. Any research output which has a DOI, it will work to fill in the fields with that. So if it has a DOI, it will, yes.
Yeah, sorry, I'm being a bit slow this morning, and I didn't want to promise more than the tool delivers. Okay. The next, okay, come on, integration with RSpace. I'm not going to play the video, but it is available on YouTube. It's 2 minutes and a bit, and I don't want to take 2 minutes out of this meeting for the video, but you can watch it on our YouTube channel. It's a bit more detailed. So the prototype is available. But we will need to develop a version 2 API that allows, that enables user level authentication, so that as users work on RSpace and create the, eLab notebook for workspace, they can also retrieve their data management plans from DMPonline. At the moment, users in DMPonline belong to an organization, so it's if you like, organization level integration. That's the only thing we can enable for data management plans. But so we'll also have to allow, we need to develop user level authentication so that integration can happen at user level. In other words, it goes straight to the user and it picks up the user's plan. I don't know if this makes sense. It's perhaps a bit too technical, but essentially that's what we are developing. This is Don's work, Don Stuckey. He's in the meeting. If you have additional questions about this, you can ask at the question time. And I've apologized, I've forgotten to mention that Glenis is working on the DOI. She's the lead on DOI. On Machine Actionable Grant ID is Don again. And then we are moving on to question IDs. This is Marta. Marta's leading this. This is a feature that DMP Toolie asked, is question identifiers. Each question will get a pair of identifiers, a name and the value for it. And this will be entered at on the template level. And the only reason why we developed this is because organizational administrators have asked us to allow them to provide them with a feature that enables them to track answers to a particular question in a particular template, to put it simply. Okay, so the prototype is available on DMP Toolie test server, and again, we aim to deploy it by week beginning 8th of April. Again, assuming there are no emergencies and assuming that DMP Toolie are happy with it. We met with them, they seemed happy, but we thought we would allow a bit more time for testing. We will deploy this feature to the whole of DMPonline service. We have to see how it goes. If it requires a few more tweaks, we have to see how it works for Toolie. I anticipate that there will be a bit of work required on our part to put together guidance. This is a feature that will be used for organizational administrators. I'll emphasize that this is an on and off feature. You can only switch it on if you actually need it. You don't have to use it if you don't want it, and but will require a bit of training. That is my feeling. It's somewhat more technical, and that is something that we have to we have to develop training materials. We feel that we have to develop training materials before we deploy to the whole of the DMPonline service, so that actually people see its benefit. I got the impression in the last demonstration when we did it, I think it was November user group, I may be wrong, that only the more technical among you kind of saw the benefit of it. I may be wrong. It may be that people kept quiet for a particular reason. Okay, so there is a lot of ongoing work for us. So there are other features that we're working on. We have deployed the new embedded discovery service. In January, if you remember, we mentioned that the UK, for UK, there won't be a centralized discovery service any longer, and everybody had to provide their own. It's good that we've done that. We deployed it on the 27th February, just straight after the conference. I hope it works okay for you. Please let us know if it doesn't, if users come back and say it doesn't. This is, by the way, the discovery service itself. This is where users set up their single sign-on facility and go and search for the organization. If you remember, in the past, the UK Federation provided the service, and users would have to click on a page that took them to another page that certainly didn't look like DMPonline, and sometimes it confused users. Now we're happy that that discovery page is very much branded like DMPonline, and users feel that it's a good workflow. They're not confused by why have I landed on a different looking page and what is the UK Federation. So all they have to do is simply enter the name of the university, and they will move on to attach it to their user profile and use the single sign-on facility. The integration with the research organization registry, this is something, sorry, I have to thank Don for doing this, the embedded discovery service. The integration with the research organization registry is currently in development. And we aim to release it by the end of our current development sprint, again, early June. And Marta is currently working on this. Magdalena and I are also doing a lot of spring cleaning. We're reviewing the funder templates, particularly the UKRI ones, which will be turned into two-phase templates. There will be the 500-word summary that's submitted at the grant application stage. Is going to be called something like initial DMP, and then the full DMP, which is essentially the funder templates that we've had until now, perhaps with some reviews, because I know that many UK funders have cut down on the guidance. Some have hidden it. It seems to have gone missing, so we have to check how we can update that, and it will require some tracking down of who's responsible for this. So I'm sorry, this is a slow process. We had hoped to do this by February, but I think the I think I'm absolutely certain, sorry, that the interoperability workshop took a lot of time on our part. We're also looking at providing training events. I know that many subscribing universities are making full use of the DMPonline, but the DMPonline has some features that we get the impression you don't use. So I would love for us to do purely training events on each of the tools features, training events for the end user, and also training events for the organizational administrator. So we would love to organize online training events, but also perhaps in-person regional events. This is something that we will do. We will approach, organizations who have subscribed. Perhaps you would have a better view because you're more hands-on, more involved with the tool, and you'd have a better view on whether you would benefit from in-person events. I don't know. It remains to be seen how you feel about this. DCC in general has a program of training, provides training in general on data management, led by our colleague Dominique. So she has been asked to provide training, in-person training events on particular, hosted by particular institutions. So we could work together with her, and when she comes into and provides generalized training or research data management, DMPonline could join, and we'll let you know when these are coming. And of course, we have to do a lot of tidying up on review of user support materials. And this is the DMPonline help page for the end users. At the moment, it's got very little content. And as we add more features to the tool, we feel that it's getting a bit more complicated, and we have to provide more support for the end user, particularly on the integration features. You know, this is what you have to do to get, you know, to automatically retrieve, for example, your data management project details. I think the user will need a bit more help with that. Wiki for organizational administrators. We're at the moment debating whether to move this on the DMPonline help page or on the DCC help pages. On the at the moment they are on a wiki, on a GitHub wiki, but we will have to move them in a more I don't know, intuitive place. We feel that they're a bit wordy, and the content will always have to be. I mean, the content will always be, how can I put, there'll always be a big volume of content because, you know, we have to offer organizational administrators with a lot of support. So perhaps putting them on the DMPonline tool webpage will make them too heavy. The DCC website could be a better alternative. I don't know. It would be nice to hear what you think. And we also will have to revise some of the how-to videos on YouTube and update them as we introduce new features. This is a goal kind of for 2024. This won't happen overnight. Writing material takes time, as you can imagine. Right, a very quick, I think I'm overshooting my time, apologies for this. A very quick introduction, overview of what happened at the IDCC workshop on interoperability. I felt it was quite successful, and many other people felt so too. We'll produce a report based on this, but I thought I would give you an update of some of the input that we received from users, particularly to the practical exercises. And I would also like you to support the Salzburg Manifesto. This is, you'll be invited to take part in discussions, contribute with ideas, and say what, you know, what machine actionable data management plans mean for you. What do you regard as machine actionability? What are the main goals? So it would be good if you took part in this. We're inviting all stakeholders, by the way, not just the organizational administrator or data stewards in institutions. In fact, it was actually quite good to see that everybody felt that all stakeholders should be involved. So exercise one, very quickly, there were a couple of exercises. Exercise one was a review of the 10 principles and paper 10 principles for machine actionable data management plans. And there were some key points that people put in there. And the one that I really, really like is that we need commitment to work from all stakeholders. It shouldn't be just done, the responsibility. It shouldn't be just the responsibility of the institution. I really like this. Automation is needed for good practice. That is good. Everybody was for automation. Monitoring of DMPs. People enter DMP and complete data, put the content in there, but we discussed this at our user group on delivering on DMP, is actually the promises entered into a DMP, if I can call them promises, are they delivered? I said I was going to put my data in X repository. Who's checking that this has actually been done? So this is still an unanswered question. And another really good input was that we have to give users incentives to return to their DMPs and update them, add new information. And we felt that automation would be a good way of encouraging and motivating users to come back to their DMPs. If the DMP acts as some kind of library for a project's research outputs, maybe researchers will be more motivated to come back and complete them. The exercise number 2 was also an interesting one, is how to connect pathways. It was called how to connect DMP platforms and RDM platforms. And we asked the participants to produce user stories of formats, as stakeholder X, I want this feature so I can do this task with it. And I've inserted some key points from it's mostly from a researcher's point of view, although some of the input that we got was from the perspective of the data stewards, from the perspective of repository managers, and you can see some key points inserted purely from the point of view of a researcher. And I like these a lot because people want to connect their DMP as a DMP as an inventory of all my research assets. And they thought advice and automation. There are some what appears very simple requests, but actually, as we all know, they're not that easy to deliver. I'm a researcher. I want to see similar DMPs to mine. We have public DMPs, so people can see example of DMPs, but there's no guarantee that they're going to be very similar to yours. So how do we help them with? How do we help the researcher by providing good examples of DMPs? Automation. As a researcher, I want to have access to the information that has already been entered in my CRIS to write my DMP more efficiently. Youch. Yeah, but I mean, slowly, I think we will get there. Interoperability will provide better advice too. That's my belief. Call me an optimist. Okay, so I wanted to ask before we move on, do you actually want to do these exercises yourselves? Just add a few chats. Because what we could do, I see a lot of good morning here. I mean, what I could do at the end of this is to provide you with similar pages with the exercises, right? Just a simple Word document, and invite you all to contribute. I think I would love to hear from DMPonline users, because you are people who are, are in touch with researchers, and you're also organizational administrators, data stewards. You will know what you want from a DMP, yeah? Are you interested in doing the exercise? I'm not seeing much in the chat. Well, I'll do it anyway, and I hope that some of you will be thrilled by the task. But the input, the notes from the exercise and all the materials are, yes, please. Can you put a link into the chat? I'll give you all the links in a moment when I stop talking. Okay. Okay, bear with me a moment, because I've clicked on. Sorry, I'm giving the presentation from online, and it moves ahead much faster than I wanted to. Can I ask one of my colleagues to add the link? We have a small domestic task. If you remember, at our last meeting, some people said that they can't. Their organizations won't provide a support for Zoom any longer, and we may have to meet by using other platforms. And we've put together a small, okay, here's the copy. Okay, so we've put together a small survey on how you would like to meet. Is it Teams? Is it Zoom? So I would appreciate if you would fill this in, because we may have to make a decision on whether we can, whether we can continue with Zoom or not. I'm really sorry about this. Okay, so I'm gonna stop sharing and ask you for if you have some questions. Following my presentations. Okay, I'm going to put in lots of links for you. So the link to the Salzburg Manifesto, here it comes. This would be useful for all of us. Okay. Okay. And here's the link to the okay. There's another entry for the workshop. You will see in there all the presentations, who was present at the meeting, who gave a chat. Okay, there we go. And in particular, if you see the transcribed notes, notes are transcribed as they were provided. So there's been no interpretation, no, you know, no summarization. So what I'm going to suggest that we do, I take those exercises, put them into another document on our Google Drive, and you can contribute to those exercises after this meeting. How are we doing for time? Can somebody help me?
Yeah, so we should be just having a... No, we are actually 10 minutes ahead. So it's question time.
It's question time. No, it's question time. I think we're okay. It's question time now. So, Andres Ramos, I see the last question. About the API version 2, that means that an institute will have the rights to remove user accounts only related with RSpace or also DMPonline? I don't quite understand that, Andres. Would you mind unmuting yourself and asking the question live? I remember this is registered, recorded, and you might not like it.
Can you
Hey,
hear me?
Andres.
Yeah. Yeah, so my question was that when you talk about the API version 2, you mentioned that this is developed especially for airspace and the user information that we have there. But does that mean that if I connect the user information of DMPonline with airspace and I remove someone from there, yeah, from the user information, then I remove the user as well from DMPonline?
You can't remove a user from DMPonline. Users change their accounts. For example, if they remove from, if they leave your institution, but you cannot remove a user. We can deactivate a user that has been inactive for a long time, or if they ask us specifically, if the user asks us specifically to deactivate their account, but you as a data steward, you can't remove a user.
Yeah, but then, okay, then I will rephrase my question. What is the actual use of the version 2 API?
Don, you may want to explain this in a more technical way.
Sure. Yeah, it's just that in order to connect your DMPonline account with an RSpace account, you need to give permission to RSpace to access your account through the API. So at the moment, it's only the permission only works for V0 and V1. The permission works for the organizational admin. So essentially at the organization level, but in order to connect an individual DMPonline account with an individual RSpace account, it needs to give permission or have authentication at the user level. So essentially it's doing, it will do, the plan is that it will do everything that V0 and V1 does, but it will also allow for user level of authentication. So it's just adding a feature.
Okay, yeah, now that is clear. So it's just a connection, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Initially, we thought we might be able to do it with an existing API, but then it would remind me, Don, I'm pretty sure we considered doing this with an existing API, and then we felt, nah, it will complicate things.
Yeah, no, it definitely requires user level authentication, which isn't currently supported by V0 and V1.
Yeah, Are you pleased with the answer, Andres, or are you?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Please feel free to ask more and more questions, and you know, you can also email afterwards. Okay, Chris, for the updated UKRI templates, will the Funda's 500-word limit requirement be a section that prefixes the relevant UKRI template? Please, can you outline how will it look to the end user? Right, so it would be a bit like Horizon 2020 template, where you'd have several phases in the template. Phase 1 would be initial DMP. Phase 2, this is the initial names we're thinking about, right, for the phases. Phase 1 would be the initial DMP. Phase 2 would be the current EPSRC template to choose a funder as it is. We know that they need, we'll call it detailed DMP. We know that we need updates for this phase, which is what I mentioned earlier. But that's what it would be like. You would have phase 1 or phase 2. In fact, let me see if while talking I can actually share my screen with the current template. Bear with me a moment, my dashboard. Do I have a Horizon 22 template? Yeah, I do. Okay. Briefly going to share the screen with you again. Please don't laugh at how many tabs I have open. Or feel free to laugh, why not? Okay, so you see it here. It will look a bit like this, right? The UKRI templates will look like this. You would have your usual tabs, and we'd have an initial DMP and what we call a detailed DMP. The Horizon 22 template has more another final DMP, but you know, we're not going to go into that. Does that make sense? Now, the initial DMP, in this case, it's another template in Horizon 2020 is another template, right, with several questions in it. What we will have, because that's what EPSRC has, for example, what we will have is a text box with the question that is asked in the UKRI application form online. I can't remember exactly what the question is, not off the top of my head, but there is one generic question at the very top. Inside the box, this is something that we need to work on. Inside the box, I've seen inside the text box, the 500-word text box, EPSRC has some kind of guidance, or some wording. It says, please enter some explanation. I think explanation is a better word for it. And in that explanation box, it also contains links to some EPSRC guidance. So that's all it would be here. It would be a box. I'm trying to see if I can find an example. It would be a box like this, but bigger. The other thing that we need to do is to work on the technical bit of it, is so that we provide the users with a guidance, with a word limit facility, so that they can see when they've exceeded the word limit. Because that's something that is needed. Am I making sense, Chris?
Yeah.
Sorry, just to say thanks very much. That's really helpful. Thanks, Diana.
Okay, so I mean, you're welcome. I'm sorry we've been a bit slow. We were hoping that we could do it in February. Let me see if I can find. I said that inside the box, have I got more time for questions? I think we do a couple of minutes before
we have 2 minutes.
2 minutes. I was hoping to find the text that EPSRC provide inside the box. It's a bit wordy, so that box could be a bit big. I'm looking for it very quickly. If I find it quickly, I'll send it to you.
No, it's edited the notes after the meeting.
Oh, okay, so I think I have some kind of. Oh, Matthias has just entered the room. What is this? It's an image. Let me see if I can add this image PNG here as an attachment. Okay, I'll share screen temporarily because I haven't got time, but I can send it afterwards to everyone. Let's see if I can share screen temporarily, and I'll show you what EPSRC have done inside that box. Here you go. Right? It's annoying. I think it's quite a lot of text in that box, but that's what they have. Provide the data. So on UKRI application grant, all you see is called an entry called data management. There is a question, unfortunately, my screenshot doesn't include it. And we're going to put that question as asked on the UKRI application interface. And then inside that box, EPSRC have put all of this text. Quite a big spiel. So we're going to have to think about whether we insert it in the guidance or whether we actually put a little bit of text and we point to the guidance. We'll have to think about that because there's 300 plus words. they are what they've put into that box. Yeah. Okay. Right. Very quickly because I don't feel as if I've allowed too many. Okay. With access to the similar DMP, we're likely to start seeing AI-generated DMPs. What about the copyright and authorship of DMP? Yeah, that came into discussion. AI-generated, including machine learning and all of this stuff. I think we're a bit away from there. And at the moment, we have public plans in DMPonline. So the public plans, but it relies upon the user going and scanning these plans to see. I think this is roughly what I want to do. It isn't exactly automated advice, but it would we still have the function of public plans, right? So if the user themselves choose to make their plan public, we can then introduce some AI-generated functionality in which we say, yes, you can have access to, based on what the information you've entered so far, you can have access to this public plan. But otherwise, we can't do it. You're right. I'm aware that the law is currently changing, but we do not normally clarify licenses in DMP. In DMPs, yes, we will need advice on that. And legislation came up a lot into our discussion. I'm 1 minute late. Sorry for this kind of unsatisfactory answer, but you will see that in the notes, policy came up a lot. I'll try and point to it, Nina. We are considering recommending that DMPs are deposited to our internal repository where, for example, DPIs are stored. Would it be possible to have an API-based publish to repository button alongside the share download option? Oh. Okay.
Okay, I'm taking all these questions into our document. So if we might not have answers straight away, and people should be allowed to have a coffee break if you need one.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Magdalena. We're taking them, and I'm just following up on this one. It's a good one. Yeah, we need to think about how we would link with an institutional. How would I likely interlink with an institutional repository? Remind us to update DMPs. For some funders, we have to do this halfway through the project, and at the end, it would be great if we can set deadlines or reminders on a DMP that will be automatically sent to the co-owners. Brilliant. I like that. Yeah. We need some kind of prompts to the user. By the way, this plan is, you've only completed phase 1, you've only completed phase 2. Yeah, that could be a nice feature. I've already created a template or within the box if you like to use it, Nina. Yeah. we can look at that. The issues, I knew that some users have created this. The issue is that once we publish the updated templates, you may have to take yours down or create an institutional template and retrieve the latest updates. Do you see what I mean? I think you know the routine already. You may have to get rid of your own bots. Nina, am I making sense? Okay, this message was direct to me.
Yes,
I can deal with it. Yeah?
That makes sense.
Okay.
We can deal with it separately. I was just saying, I think I and a couple of other people have, out of desperation, created templates. So maybe you don't have to recreate them, that's all.
Okay. Oh, that's good. Thank you very much for the offer. I'll look at what you've created there. It's just that we have to add the 500 word limit facility. It would be great if the contributor section could be included in a downloadable DMP. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so we're taking these notes down. We always take the notes and we can turn them into issues. We typically meet twice a week, and we can our team meets regularly, and we're going to take the issues you've entered here and see if we can generate them into development issues and plan them ahead, put them in our development sprints. Okay. Thank you so much. Sorry, 5 minutes late. Is it okay to have a 5-minute coffee break?
I think we can come back 25 in a case people are in the office and actually need to walk further. If we come back 25, I think that'll be great.
Okay.
So hello and welcome back. Hope you didn't need to run as much as Diana and Nina. So what we were hoping to do for the rest of today's session was to run a workshop where we will be dividing this group into 3 smaller groups, and each will be assigned a topic. If you go to the next slide, please, Diana. So we would like to look at the current DMPonline user interface, and specifically we created 3 groups which you will be automatically assigned to. In the first user group, sorry, I'm saying user group. In the first group, you will be looking at the dashboard, and in the second group, you will be looking at the plans page. In the third group, you will be looking at the template. And towards the end, or even during the time you are discussing all of these, feel free to add any other suggestions. If you go to the next slide, please, Diana. So how this will work is the system will automatically assign you, and in each group, there will be one of us from the DMPonline team. We hope it's going to work. We tried to test it before and it seemed to work, but this is why I was still muted and my screen was black, because I was just having a quick chat with Dawn. But we hope Dawn is going to be in the group number 1. No, sorry, is it number 1? Yes. No, group number 2 is for Dawn. User dashboard is group number 1, where Diana will be, and I'll be leading the group number 3. And these are the type of questions we might ask you in a case you're finding it a bit more difficult to talk about the different pages, but we hope the conversation are going to be relatively smooth. We are interested to know, just in general, whether the pages work well for you. And if something works well, also find out what it is you like about the page, but also give you plenty of opportunities to tell us, for example, whether you think the buttons are in correct place, whether the wording which we are using across the page is correct, whether there is some other wording you would like to add. And again, these are the other type of questions we can look at if we need to dig more into the detail. So if you go, please, Diana, into the next slide. Just, I believe most of you are administrators for DMPonline in today's workshop, but just to remind you, the user dashboard is a page like this, but hopefully you are also just able to quickly go to the DMPonline and just open the user dashboard to remind yourself what it looks like. If you go to the next slide, please, Diana. This is the plans page, and this, as an administrator, you should be able to get access to the plans that requested feedback, if this is a feature that is allowed at your organization, or just plans being created under your organizations. And then if you go, Diana, please, to the third slide. This is the create and edit plan. So you, again, all of you, even if you are not administrators, will know this page and what it currently looks like, and how, hopefully, how the logic works as well. If you go to the next slide, please, Diana. And this is how to create and edit a template. And this is something you would only have access to if you're an administrator. So whoever will end up in this group, I hope you are administrators. And if not, I can share my screen and I'll show you how this works as well. But hopefully most of you will have some understanding how the creation of a template works. So all of my colleagues are going to share a Jamboard, and we will be adding the sticky notes into the Jamboards. So all of you will receive a link into the Jamboard, and my colleague Dawn, Diana, and myself in each of the groups will be sharing the Jamboard for all of the participants, so we can look at it together. And all of you will have access to add tickets with suggestions and ideas. And while we are talking about the main pages, you can always add any other suggestions you were having prior joining the workshop today. So if I create now the different groups, like I said, it will automatically assign you into a breakout room. We'll ensure that Dawn, Diana, and myself are each of us in one of these rooms. And then once we're in the groups, we can share the Jamboards with you, so all of you can follow the link, and we can start adding the sticky notes into the suggestions, and you telling us how it works for you and what you think we could improve. I believe this is most of us now back. Diana, you're muted.
I think so. Some people have said bye. They had to go to other meetings, but it's all right. I guess we can do a very quick summary of the input and then go, because we really haven't got time. But I can very quickly share what I heard from our users. Overall, the help desk is fine. It's very straightforward, very easy to use. People felt that perhaps we could have an indicator of when the plan or whether there's been an update to a particular plan, something very small that says this plan has changed since you last viewed it. We got a lot of other suggestions. I can't list them all here, but the other big suggestion that we had in terms of usability for the org admin dashboard is that perhaps the admin menu could be a bit bigger, could be more like a button and more obvious, and the options for some users, they felt that the drop-down menu was a bit small to see. Even if you zoom in, it's a bit small to see. There were suggestions that perhaps we could add more options to a plan, some indicator of how much the user has filled in, but we felt that might be complicating the dashboard, and also there isn't a linear process to the planner. Filling in phase 1, then you can now move to phase 2. People can fill in whatever phase they want. So you can see other input that I'm just going to send you the link in the chat, and feel free to add your own suggestions, right? Even if you weren't in the meeting in that particular discussion, just add your own input. It's really useful. Okay.
Thank you, Diana. If you would want to do a quick summary, Dawn, if that's okay.
one suggestion that Chris had is that on the request feedback tab, the actual request feedback button is not so prominent. So sometimes users will just see it and assume that that message has been sent. So to make it more prominent would be good. Sarah had a suggestion. There's a list of funders. She thought it could be better to have as a drop-down box as opposed to a combo box, like where you start typing and the suggestions pop up. I did take another option is that we could combine the two, so you can have a drop-down if you click on it, or a combo box if you start typing. So, and then the other one is that on the download plan, when you export as a Word doc, the spell check doesn't seem to work. So that's a bug we'll need to look into. It's probably something to do with Word versioning. Yeah, and that was it. And Chris had another suggestion about the templates as well. So he said that at the University of Manchester, they have 25 templates. Each of those templates has an initial section with 16 questions that apply to all templates. And but the thing is, when you make an update to one part of that section, you need to do the same update in the 25 other templates. So he was thinking that it'd be good if there was a way that could be automated, or it could be just done in one place. I think that a lot of other universities have this requirement of an opening section with standard questions that are asked by that university for all DMPs. So this could be a wider requirement that could make a difference to other institutions as well.
Thank you, Don. And I'll just provide a quick summary. So we were discussing in Migrum the create and edit template page. So overall, people think it's relatively easy to use. One of the things there we discussed is that basically before you create a template, you really need to have ideally all agreed, and you're just not using the hit and miss, but just ensuring before you actually put all of your questions there, all is working well, because even a slight change such as adding a dot or correcting a word is going to produce a new version. And the system is currently not smart enough to know, this was just a correction of something quite small rather than, adding a question. But there were a few things people suggested. And one of the quite good points I thought was that when editing a template, we have this button next to it called actions. And sometimes that might not be the most intuitive button to use. Instead of actions, it might be better to use something like menu, for example. Another good point raised by Chris was that when you look at your templates page, you have to scroll all the way to the bottom and click on the next templates page. So instead of clicking on view all, it would be just nice if immediately all of the templates appeared, rather than either having to scroll down and click on view all or going from one page to another, in a case your organization has more templates. And another point, again, we have a full board and we will be writing a summary afterwards as well. But another good point that came up in regards to the templates, I think quite crucial, and it's been raised in the past before, and I think we might have a ticket, we probably do have a ticket on roadmap, is that when a funder template is being updated, the administrators don't receive automatic notification, but it is an exercise for the administrators to actually have to regularly go into the back and check, because if you don't republish the changes, that won't be updated. So that's a valid point, and that keeps coming. So I think I do apologize, we overrun, and I don't think we'll have much time to do like a proper better summary. I don't want to be holding people back. I don't know how about you, Diana. So many people probably have other meetings and lunches, but we'll be writing summary with Diana and our team. We'll be getting back to you. I think our next event is going to be the community get together. We will be sharing all the dates and times with you. This will be sometime in May. We are going to have more trainings, like Diana already mentioned, coming up. And I do apologize for running over, but it's been great to get all of your feedback, and we are very much looking forward to speak to you all soon.
Okay, next event, 21st of May, and it will be a somewhat different format. We'll be in touch to let you know. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a lovely day.